Thank you, ministers, for your time today. I'm Yi Xin, an NUS undergraduate, and I think I would like to focus on the topic of gambling because I think it's it kind of concern me and my friends actually.
Okay.
Thank you.
On the points of imposing a $100 levy, I mean, the intention is that $100 might be a deterrence to our own people to stop them from going to the casinos. But statistics have shown that the levy has not proved effective because we've collected so much levies. So does that mean that this intention of deterring people from entering into the casinos in the first place has not been as effective as we expected it to be? And on the same note, I would like to know if it's possible for you to share with us the composition of the people visiting the casinos, because I have friends who work in the IR, and from them I heard that most of them are retirees, people who are using their CPF money and were still pensioned on the gambling table. So perhaps we could address it here today, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I think it's all right to stay with this issue if it's of interest to them.
Yeah.
Because this is a future problem we are talking about now. As of now, it's not a problem, but in the future, this could be a serious problem. So stay with this issue for a while.
Yeah, but I think we'll allocate a certain portion of time and move on because we only have about an hour.
It's okay. I'm also very glad that a young person like this is obviously passionately concerned about this. So that's good. The $100, remember just now I said, your alternative is to go to Genting Highlands or to go to a cruise ship. The $100 is set so that it is actually slightly more expensive to go to our local casino versus going to a cruise ship or going overseas. The $100 is a signal that this is an expenditure. It is not a means of making a living. Having said that, I will also say that the $100 will not deter an addict. To an addict, this is nothing. So let's not mistake the $100 as the cure-all for someone who's addicted. For someone who's addicted, we have to identify them, or the family needs to identify the person. If their habit has reached a situation where it makes them bankrupt, or it is damaging the family's livelihood, action needs to be taken. That's why we have the exclusion order system, which the National Council of Problem Gambling sits and deliberates on. So if a family member thinks that the breadwinner, or sometimes it's the spouse, or usually sometimes even a son, unfortunately men seem to be higher risk in that sense, they can file for a family exclusion order. The council will listen to all the arguments, both from the person who is the possible addict and the family members, and make a reasonable, sensible decision. So I want you to understand that the $100 is just to send a message, but it is not in itself an impediment to an addict. An addict needs to be identified, an addict needs help, and we have that help available. And the key point I wanted to make was that we don't depend on the casinos to provide the help services that are necessary. We have the resources, and we will fund the resource. We will fund BWOs who want to start services in this area to provide assistance to them. You asked just now about the retirees. I think both anecdotally, taxi drivers will tell you, that people who go there, and one of my colleagues whose father is a taxi driver told me, they go there, they come back out, no money to even pay the taxi fare, but they need a ride home to go and get more money. Then they pay the taxi driver and go back to the casino. I think these are warning signs. If anybody has a relative or in yourself is caught in that kind of situation, please approach us, or please approach one of the VWOs or even the Council for Problem Gambling, so that we can help you deal with this problem. But this type of person is at risk whether or not the integrated resort is in Singapore. Because nowadays with the internet, you can all take your bets now this weekend's EPL matches online.
That's right.
So we need to have a perspective on this. Right? We have the integrated resorts. It is a tourism attraction. At the same time, there is a real and current threat to our society from gambling. And some of us, our brothers, our sisters, our parents, or our children are at risk. Identify, provide help, and treat. So we need to have, unfortunately the world is not simple where we can have a all or nothing approach. I think we need to have a practical approach, and at any one time, make sure the benefits outweigh the net losses, and make sure that we continue to have our eyes open and continue to be prepared to amend the system and to do more to provide more help. Yes, you're right. So far, after 1 year, there has been more attendance than we had anticipated. So the tote board suddenly has got a lot more money because of the levies which are collected. But I can also tell you from watching the trends that the novelty is wearing off. After a while, people get tired. So it's not as if the numbers are spiking up. I'm not in a position to give you exact numbers now, but I can tell you the novelty is wearing off. Right? But there is a small group who are going there very, very often, and I'm watching that closely to watch for risk factors and patterns of behavior. And if need be, I will have to institute more measures for this group. But for now...
So, I think I have been to the casinos in Macau when I visited, officially. So I was able to see the profile of the people there gambling away. And you are right, they are mainly the older ones.
Yep.
I think many from Hong Kong, a lot from China, older ones.
Large numbers.
In Singapore, I've been to the casinos before they were open. So I would not know the profile of the people going to our casinos, because after they were open, I refused to pay $100 to go in. Because I would not be gambling, so why pay $100? I would get data from Mr. Vivian Balakrishnan. But I intervened because I want to give another take on this. You have a large number of people going, older ones, not because they have got money, but because they are bored. The older people got to do something. So what do they do with the time, which they have a lot? What do they do with the money, which they do not have very much? So to occupy their time, they go to the casinos as a way of entertaining themselves. Most of them are not addicts. They go there just for the novelty or just for a few times. In the old days, you pull the jackpot. Nowadays, you just point the punch and so on. I've seen one such old person in a golf club. They have this jackpot machine, and the old person was just pulling away, looking at the jackpot machine. And the son was there. So I chatted to the son. The son says, my father feels bored, so I just give him $100, just let him enjoy himself. If he makes money, good. If he doesn't make money, it's my way of entertaining him $100. So there's a long-term solution to this. The long-term solution to this problem is to ensure that our young people develop a lot of interest, whether it's music, painting, sports, and so on. Develop interest, reading habits. Your iPad, your internet, do some surfing there. Develop that kind of a habit, a lot of interest that you have. So when you grow old, people like ourselves will have other interests. For those who are now old, who do not yet have this interest, this is where MCYS, and PAs and so on, we emphasize active aging. What does active aging mean? We will get them to be interested in things which are positive, whether it's learning computer, whether it's doing Tai Chi or Qigong, getting involved in active aging. So when they discover a hobby for themselves, they do not have to go to the casino to kill time. And children will then take them out to do some other things, instead of giving them some money to kill time in the casinos. So this will be the long-term solution to retirees going to the casinos to gamble. And short-term, let's also try and reach out to the older people to give them some kind of hobbies which they can learn at an older age.
Yeah.
So if they have interest, I do believe that fewer people will go to the casinos just to play around in order to occupy their time. It's terrible, when you're old, your children have grown up, they are staying on their own. Your grandchildren are busy in school, staying with their parents. What do? You look at your wife every day for 8 hours a day at home, and the wife doesn't want to look at you. So what do? You go to the casinos to pass time. So these are serious problems. You got to know, I think, the root cause. The root cause is people who do not have interest in their lives. So let's find ways to give them this interest and age actively.